are certain sounds in life that are hard to explain. Some come from nature, some from the people around us, and some from places we should have never been. But every once in a while, there's a different kind of sound. A sound that doesn't exist for anyone else. A sound that follows only you, waits for only you, and calls out only to you. This is a story about a noise I still hear sometimes, late at night, depending on how quiet it gets. A sound I hope no one else ever has to experience. This is the sound only you can hear. My name is Daniel, and this happened 3 years ago when I was 24. I was living alone in a small apartment complex in Colorado. I had just moved there for work. Didn't know the neighbors, didn't know the area, and honestly didn't care. I kept to myself. I liked the silence. But silence can turn into something else if you're alone long enough. And sometimes silence invites things in. It happened on a Thursday night. I remember because Thursdays were my late shift days. The days I got home around 11 p.m. I was exhausted, mentally drained, ready to just collapse on my bed. I dropped my keys on the counter, microwaved leftover pasta, and sat at my desk to watch YouTube while eating. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt creepy. Until I heard it. A soft clicking sound. Not a tap. Not a pop. Not even a typical house noise. This was different. It sounded like someone clicking their tongue. Fast, then slow, then fast again. Click, 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 click. I paused my video. The sound continued. I froze, listening. It was coming from somewhere in the apartment. That much I knew. But it wasn't consistent. It shifted, like whatever was making it was moving. The clicking sounded like it was coming from the hallway, then the kitchen, then right behind me. But whenever I turned around, it stopped, like it didn't want to be caught. At first I tried to rationalize it. Pipes, the fridge, the old heater. But then the clicking stopped completely. For a moment, everything went quiet again. I shrugged it off and finished my dinner. I went to bed around 1 a.m. And that's when it started again. I had just closed my eyes when I heard it again, but this time closer. Click, click, click. Right next to my bed, I shot up immediately. "Hello," I said out loud, even though I knew how stupid that was. The clicking continued. Same rhythm, same exact pace, no hesitation. Like it was answering me, I reached over and turned on my nightstand lamp. Instant silence. Dead silent. No clicking. Nothing. Just my heavy breathing. I stayed awake for hours after that, leaving the lamp on until sunrise. Eventually, I convinced myself it was the vents. Stress. Imagination. Anything but something real. But that was only the beginning. The next night, I made sure to keep my TV on, just low enough to break the silence. But around midnight, right when I was drifting off, the clicking started again, except this time it wasn't next to my bed. It was inside my closet. Click, 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 click. Slow, deliberate, almost playful. I stared at my closet door. It was slightly open. I never leave it open. My chest tightened. "What do you want?" I whispered. The clicking stopped instantly. Then, something inside my closet clicked once, louder than anything before, like it was shushing me. That one click rang in my ears for several seconds. I didn't sleep at all that night. When the sun finally came up, I went to work half awake, dizzy, trying to convince myself the sound was some kind of animal trapped in the vents or walls. It had to be. I wasn't ready to think of any other explanation. By the third night, something inside me already knew this wasn't normal. It wasn't the walls, wasn't the pipes, and definitely wasn't an animal. But I tried to stay logical. I turned on every light in the apartment and decided I'd stay awake until I understood where the sound was coming from. For hours, nothing happened. At 2:14 a.m. exactly, the lights flickered. Just once. And then I heard it again, this time louder, sharper. Click. Then, click, click, click. The door was slightly open, the light off, pitch black inside. I stepped closer, phone flashlight in hand. My hands were shaking. As soon as I reached the bathroom doorway, the clicking stopped. A cold breeze hit my face. There were no windows in the bathroom. I scanned the room with my flashlight. Nothing. No movement. No shadows. No animal. Nothing. Okay, I whispered to myself. I'm losing it. I turned around, and from behind me, right at the back of my neck, I heard a click. One loud click. I ran out of the bathroom so fast I knocked over a shelf. I didn't look back. I didn't breathe. I slept in my car that night. But even there, as I tried to close my eyes, I heard a faint click from the back seat. I decided to leave the apartment for a few days. I booked a cheap hotel room across town, and for the first time in days, the clicking didn't follow me. No noises, no strange sounds, nothing, which should have made me feel safe. But instead, it terrified me even more, because it meant whatever was making the noise was inside my apartment, and only my apartment. So I called the front desk of my complex and asked for a maintenance inspection. I claimed I heard noises in the vents, and maybe an animal was stuck, just so I wouldn't sound insane. The maintenance guy checked everything. His words still make me sweat whenever I think about it. Dude, your vents are spotless. No animals, no droppings, nothing. He paused before adding, and your heater doesn't even make clicking sounds. The model you have doesn't click at all. I remember standing there, heart pounding, pretending to nod like everything was fine. But inside, I felt sick, because I knew the clicking wasn't mechanical. It wasn't natural. It was something else, something aware, something that knew I was listening, and something that didn't want anyone else to hear it. After 3 nights at the hotel, I forced myself to return to my apartment. I couldn't afford to stay away forever. I opened the door slowly. Nothing looked different, but the silence felt heavy, like the walls were waiting. I kept the lights on. I kept my shoes on. I kept all my things packed, and for the first few hours, nothing happened. But around 3 a.m., the clicking came again. Except this time, it wasn't random. It wasn't playful. It wasn't curious. It was rhythmic, like Morse code. Click, 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 click. A repeating pattern. Again, and again, and again. I recorded it on my phone. I even uploaded it to Reddit, asking if anyone could identify the pattern. One person replied, "That's Morse code for a single word." I asked them what word. They replied, "Behind you." My blood ran cold. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to look. But something inside me, instinct, curiosity, fear, I don't know what it was, made me turn. Slowly, shaking, skin freezing. And when I looked behind me, there was nothing there. But the clicking got louder, right next to my ear. That was the night I realized something terrifying. I wasn't hearing this sound with my ears. I was hearing it inside my head. The clicks weren't bouncing off the walls. They weren't coming from the vents. They were directed at me, like a whisper with no voice, like a message with no speaker, a sound only I could hear. I backed up against the wall, trembling, covering my ears even though I knew it wouldn't help. The clicking grew frantic, fast, aggressive, like something was inches away from my face. Clicking in anger, I shouted, "Stop." And it did, instantly. For the first time in days, the sound ended on command. That terrified me even more, because that meant it could understand me. It was aware, communicating, listening, waiting. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Instead, I sat in my kitchen until morning, gripping a knife, listening for any sound, and that's when the real horror happened. As the sun was rising, I realized something. The sound wasn't gone. It was distant. Like it had moved further away from me, like it was Taika watching to my living room, listening closely. The clicking was coming from the far corner of the room, not loud of the room, not loud, not aggressive, just a soft, steady click, 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 click. Almost like it was waiting for me to approach. Something told me not to. Something deep in my gut screamed at me to stay away. Instead, I stood still and whispered, "What are you?" The clicking stopped. Then, for the first time, it responded with something new, a slow, drawn-out, crackling sound, like bones bending or joints stretching, followed by a whisper. Not a click, Not Morse code, a whisper so faint I couldn't make out the words, but I know what it said. I didn't hear the exact sounds. I didn't understand the exact language, but I felt the meaning in my chest. You hear me? And then, I'm coming. I left everything behind. My clothes, my furniture, my deposit, my pride, everything. I moved states, changed jobs, changed my number. I told myself I left it behind, that the sound belonged to that apartment. But 2 months after I moved, at 4:23 a.m., I was sitting on my couch, half asleep watching TV, and I heard it again. Not loud, not close, just click from the bathroom that was empty, the bathroom with no vents, the bathroom with no reason for any sound. I turned off the TV, held my breath, listened, and after a few seconds, click, click, click. It followed me. I still hear it sometimes. Not every night, not every week, but often enough. On the bus, at work, in the shower, while trying to sleep. It never speaks again. Never whispers, never uses Morse code anymore. It just clicks, soft, rhythmic, patient, like it's waiting, like it knows I hear it, like it always knew. And sometimes, when I try to ignore it, I feel breath on the back of my neck, cold, slow, closer than ever. I don't know what it wants. I don't think I ever will. But if you're watching this and you ever hear a clicking sound, a sound no one else hears, a sound that stops when you turn around, don't answer it. Don't speak to it. Don't acknowledge it. Because the moment you do, it'll know you're listening. And once it knows, it never leaves. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more horror narrations like this. And remember, some sounds aren't meant to be heard, especially the sound only you can hear.